Hello and welcome to the PQA Enfield Story Slam podcast, Red Group Episode 2. Our stories today are told by our performers and are based on a challenge that they have faced in their lives. Have you ever confronted a fear that had been holding you back for a long time, or overcome a very awkward situation? Whatever it may be, you're not alone. Story slams happen all around the world and are an opportunity for people to have their voices heard. So make yourself comfortable and enjoy this collection of heartfelt stories that will surprise you, captivate you, and inspire you.
So every year my family and some of our friends' families fly to Poland for a skiing trip. Every morning we would wake up in our chalet and then walk to the ski slope. We always had to go up this one slope and then we could ski anywhere we wanted in the mountains. And at the end of the day, we would come down the same slope. Every day we skied back down it, I saw a ski park with lots of big jumps. So one day I decided to try them. But when I got to the entrance, I started to second guess myself. They looked even bigger than they did before, and all the people who were doing them looked very professional. Then my little brother zoomed past me and landed the first jump. I didn't wait to see him do the next. I was already rolling down the mountain. I didn't want to risk slowing down before the jump in case I didn't make it to the top, and then I would fall backwards. So I went full speed and I jumped so high that I couldn't land it. Instead, I fell on my face and both of my skis came off. But it was really fun. So I did it again and again and again until I started landing on both my skis. And then I still kept practicing until I landed every single time.
I would say it happened around when I was 6. I used to have many nightmares and it caused me to be scared of the dark. It took me a long time to overcome this fear, maybe even a couple of years. But this was a very important lesson for me to learn because it helped me to understand that just because it feels unsafe, scary, or dangerous doesn't mean it is. It helped me to understand that even though in the dark you can't see anything, in the dark you can feel relaxed and peaceful.
I'm sure we can all remember when Zoom was first discovered and everyone was using it for family talks, quizzes, game nights, scavenger hunts, all the fun stuff. But you can only do so much of that without getting bored, and you slowly stop sending out the invites. Then there was that period of time when no one was really Zooming anymore, apart from when September came around, the school month. Students like myself were warned about the fact that if there was another lockdown, Zoom would be plan B. And let's face it, no one ever wants to use plan B, but I didn't know that back then. So around December time, the third lockdown was introduced and plan B was set in motion. Thus began my problem. It's that thought of clicking on the link and you having to be in that awkward one-on-one with your teacher, wondering if anyone is ever going to turn up, or the sudden inkling feeling that your mic was on while singing along to your favourite song, or just talking to yourself because COVID has driven you crazy. Or what if the teacher asks you a question about why France was supposed to be romantic, and you answer because it's the city of love, just when you pluck up enough courage to click on the tiny mic icon. So now, since the incident, you will never know if your answer was right, because you can't check with your teacher, and you feel so utterly embarrassed amongst your smart classmates. And you can't bear to answer your name in the register, because you're scared you might say here incorrectly. And this just becomes so demotivating. Now, a couple of weeks since the first online lesson, and my grandma gets a new phone, so she's determined to figure out the mind-boggling world of technology. So I reluctantly helped her with my Zoom. And next thing you know, hey presto, we're virtually talking to each other. This now becomes a weekly event, and I'm the one to call if there are any technical difficulties. So I decided to bring my knowledge to school. This confidence that has risen from one little good deed pushes me to join the full call first. I was relieved that there was also another student, but I'm still fired up. I keep my cool, and I think I know the answer to the question that has made the whole class silent. The mic has been clicked, I've spoken my mind, and I nervously watch the words come out of my teacher's mouth. You're correct. Although it was one statement, I'm proud of myself. My confidence may not be set in stone, but at least it's there. And that's how my overcoming of my Zoom began.
Hi, my name's Chloe, and since I was around 5, I've had this fear of heights. On the 7th of December 2017, It was my brother's 7th birthday, and it was his choice to go onto the London Eye. As soon as he said that, my heart stopped. I was petrified of heights. But at the same time, I didn't want to ruin his birthday. And my mum said, I know you're scared and it's okay if you don't want to come. And I said, I don't want to come, but I want to be there for him. So I went. And I remember standing in line and I was so scared because I was just moments away from getting on. I took deep breaths and I got on. I sat on the bench in the middle of the glass bubble. And about a quarter of the way up, I started loving the view. I loved it.
When I was in year 8, I burped. I know it sounds stupid, but I didn't stop. At first it was quite weird, but then it got annoying. It lasted for about a week and a half, and then I just stopped. The first doctor I went to said it will be completely fine and I'll get over in a day. The second doctor, on the other hand, had something completely different to say. He said I had something called Burparitis and I had to go on a plain food diet. It was quite weird at the start, but I eventually got used to it. But eventually that didn't work. So when we went to the third doctor, he gave me these 2 red pill things and then I was fine in 5 minutes. And you're telling me that I could have been treated with in the first 5 minutes? Well, I'm actually mad at it all. I'm happy that I can finally live a normal life.
It was a normal day, the summer of 2015. The sun poured down warm rays of light. The park radiated a cheerful summer's glow. My grandma walked ahead, admiring the blooming flowers, whilst my cousins and I trailed behind, laughing and chatting. It was perfect. Until it wasn't. I heard it first. That aggressive, bloodthirsty growl. Suddenly, a blur of motion ripped through my vision, and before I could gather what was happening, it pounced. My senses reached peak panic, and I was left with no option other than to follow my instincts. Run. And so I did. I ran and ran. My family's startled "relaxes" and "don't runs" faded into a distant blur as my ears focused on one thing, that ghastly bark. Soon I began to run out of breath and park. With dread, I came to the realization that this was it. This was the end. What would it say on my gravestone? Rest in peace, killed by her greatest fear? My pace reluctantly slowed to a stop as the beast approached. I cautiously turned to face it, to look death in the eye. It attacked. My heart stopped. Wait, no it didn't. I was still breathing. I looked down in confusion. The monster was at my feet, licking me. Peyton, it's fine. My cousins finally caught up. See, it just wanted to play. I released a startled laugh. This is what I was so afraid of? I knelt down and scratched the furry creature. At that moment, one thing crossed my mind. I want a dog.
What a fantastic collection of stories, I'm sure you will agree. Thanks very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed hearing these stories just as much as we have telling them. And remember, a challenge is always an opportunity for personal growth. Bye-bye.